It's a lot of people assuming things about disabled people. Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Jen and that's Farabee, and today we're going to talk about ableism. This is just from my perspective as somebody with an invisible disability. So the first thing we're going to talk about is someone telling you to get over it, or minimizing it for you, or trying to make it seem like you're making something more dramatic than what it is. I had someone who I'd been friends with for about 20 years tell me, get over it, and call me a literally. And this is someone who knew all the stuff that had happened, and they point blank said, get over it. You know, you're being you can just get over it. People process things differently. Just because one person is able to process something differently doesn't mean that it doesn't affect another person, especially whenever you're talking about things that are psychological. One person might see something really bad happen and it doesn't affect them. Another person might see the exact same thing happen and it sends them into a panic attack. It causes them to have PTSD, triggers something in them. People are made differently, so just because something doesn't affect this person doesn't mean it won't affect this person. And by you assuming that, that is ableism. Accusing someone of just wanting attention because they are either saying they're having a problem, or maybe they're acting as though something's wrong. If you're accusing someone of just wanting attention, number one, don't do that. No one is just going to fake a disability. No one's just gonna be like, you know what would be really cool? To be disabled. I'm gonna fake that. Just because you knew someone before they started having health problems doesn't mean that they're faking it because suddenly they show up and they have something wrong. With mental health stuff, things can happen to you and it takes a year sometimes for it to actually fully develop to where it causes you a problem. You can develop PTSD even like a year after you experienced a traumatic event. So just because you talked to somebody, let's say a month ago, and they were fine, and then all of a sudden they're having these problems, it doesn't mean that they're faking it. And same goes, of course, with any chronic illness or anything. Being disabled is something that can happen to anyone at any time. Just because someone isn't born disabled doesn't mean they won't become disabled in their life. I wasn't disabled my whole life. And for me to, number one, accept that was really hard. And also for people around me, I think people thought I was faking it, or either felt like I could just get over it because I had gotten over so much other stuff in my life. And things happen. You're not always able to just heal or get over it or whatever. So don't assume someone's faking just because you knew them whenever they were well. Don't assume they're faking it because they're not. Minimizing a struggle. So just because you went through something and you have found help or treatment that has worked for you, or maybe something didn't affect you in the same way that it's affecting another person, doesn't make that person's experience any less valid. If you've experienced something and you've healed somehow, or you've found therapy that worked for you, or you've been able to regain whatever it is that your disabled person you're judging has lost, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for them. Don't assume someone's not trying because they're not where you are, or they're not recovering as fast as you, if maybe it's something that you were able to recover from. Just because you saw someone on TV who was able to recover or get better from something, that's not everyone's experience. So don't minimize someone's struggle because of something you've seen or you've experienced yourself. Assuming someone is faking because you cannot see what's wrong with them. So a lot of things are invisible disabilities. Things with your heart are invisible. Diabetes is invisible. Epilepsy is invisible. There are so many things that we can go on and on and on and talk about that are invisible. And just because somebody has this, it does not mean they're a faker. And for you to assume they're faking, or assume they're seeking attention, or treat them like they're less than because if you don't understand that there are invisible disabilities, is not good. Also, this brings me to the service dog aspect of this, which I'm just going to touch on really quickly in this. A lot of us with invisible disabilities have service dogs. We're not faking a disability to be able to bring our dog with us. So for you to assume that, or call our dog something to get attention, people have problems that you cannot see. So just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. So stop that. This is another good one. Don't assume someone is lazy, unmotivated, flaky, whatever, because they are not trying to either work, get better, network, go to everything they're invited to. Maybe they're not able, that's part of being disabled. We're not able in every instance to do the same thing that everyone else can do, that is part of being disabled. I did actually have someone tell me that I was lazy because it took me 3 weeks to learn something. That was, number one, is hurtful. The other thing, I was trying. And the other thing, I do have PTSD, which affects my ability to remember things. That isn't cool for you to point blank call me lazy because it took me longer to learn something than it took you. So don't assume people are lazy. Don't assume people are unmotivated. Don't assume they're not trying. Don't assume, well, if you just wanted it more, then you would try for it more, because that's not right. That's not right at all. People who are disabled want things, they want nice things just like you do. They want to have income just like you do. And they want to have a normal life just like you do, because they cannot physically or mentally function the same way as you. So there is a difference between saying you're lazy if you don't and saying, hey guys, I tried this out. It worked out well for me. If you want to try this, I've tried it and it worked out well. Maybe you could try it too if you want to. Whenever I say things like, if I can do it, you can do it, is to encourage. Is never to make anyone feel as though they are less than because they feel like they can't, or because they don't want to, or because of they're fearful. So it's always coming from a motivational place. And I think in that way, it is different if you say, I was able to do this, and if you want to try it, then you can too, and I want to motivate you. That is one thing. But if you say, well, why can't you? I can do it, so you should be able to do it. And you say it in a demeaning way. There are two different things. Once again, my perspective only, you might feel totally different. Another great one, assuming someone is not Christian enough, or assuming they haven't prayed enough, saying things like God doesn't allow depression, and if you had a close enough relationship with God, then God heals, and you wouldn't be that way. A little backstory. I truly 100% feel like the only reason that I'm still here is because of my relationship with God. I really, truly do. That does not mean that God does not let you go through bad things. I had to sneak and read my Bible because my ex-husband, my attacker, my abuser, threatened to rip my Bible up and didn't like that I had a relationship with God. He tried to pull me away from that. He tried to poke holes in what I believe as a Christian. Basically, he tried to make me not believe. I really felt a lot of comfort in doing my Bible study every morning that I had to sneak and do. I felt comfort in reading the Bible. So whenever someone tells me, if you were more Christian, or if you just believed more, then God would heal you. That's not the way it works. There are people who die every day and who have cancer and other terminal illnesses who are extremely close with God. Doesn't mean they got cancer or they got a terminal illness because they don't believe in God enough. Stop saying that to people. But for someone to point blank say, if you had a better relationship with God, you wouldn't have gone through that, or you would be healed by now. And I do realize that God heals. I believe that. I know there are stories in the Bible where it talks about God healing people. The one guy where he just got up and walked, and he hadn't walked before his whole life. He's like in his 30s. I can't think of their names. I'm sorry. It's escaping me right now. But you know, if you're Christian, you've read the Bible, you know the story I'm talking about. There are a lot of stories of Jesus healing people and people being healed. And it doesn't mean that other people who are not healed don't believe enough. It just is the way it goes. Some people get healed, some people don't. It doesn't mean other people don't believe enough or are not close enough to God. Another great point, just because I can do something one day, doesn't mean I can do it tomorrow, doesn't mean I can do it next week, doesn't mean I can do it ever again. This is really common in the disabled community. Either we can do something because we feel okay enough to do something at some time, and we might not feel that way again, either ever again, or it might take a day or two, or it might drain us to the point where we realize it wasn't worth it for us. You don't know. So don't assume, well, you did it last week, so you can do it again. You know, my health, I might be fine right now. In an hour from now, I might not be okay. I think people don't realize that things can happen immediately. And it doesn't mean we don't want to be invited to things either. So that's another great point. Don't stop inviting your disabled friends or disabled acquaintances to things because they blow you off. Because I can almost promise you they're not blowing you off because they choose to. They're choosing their mental or physical health over the situation. Don't assume because someone has a good attitude, a smile on their face, they're chipper, and they're trying to be like joyful. Don't assume that they're not struggling. Don't assume they're not in pain. Don't assume that they are well. I can only speak for myself on this, but I really try to be cheerful. I really try to present a positive attitude. If you watch the beginning of any of my videos, it says be the light. I try to do that because I feel like there's so much negativity in the world, and I really try so hard to be positive. Once again, this is me personally. This is not the rest of the disabled community. For myself, I find that if I try to have a positive attitude, it helps me along. It helps me to feel like I'm more confident and that I am in a better mindset for myself. It doesn't mean that I'm not struggling. It doesn't mean that I didn't have a panic attack earlier. It doesn't mean that I didn't have nightmares last night. It doesn't mean I'm not disabled. It doesn't mean I'm faking my disability. Don't assume things about people. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. I'll link some other videos over here for you guys. I'll link a mental health playlist up here and something just for you right here, and we will see you soon. Bye guys.